It's morphing time. A concept car is made for a variety of different reasons. Take the Plymouth Voyager 3, a car that solved the problem and had the intention of reinventing the minivan market. The problem was that people bought different cars for different purposes. A pickup, a family car, a car to go to work in, and a motorhome. So Plymouth thought, hey, what if a person could buy one car that could do it all? An MVP, and they came up with this. The problem was, they solved an issue no one seemed to have. Apart from this, their motivation for creating this concept was that there would be less traffic and less carbon emissions. However, this car was created in the most unpractical way. So you have a standard car, a two-door, two-seater that can be used for daily purposes, and then using an electronic hitch, you can attach another section to this car to make it into a motorhome or an 8-seater or whatever else you needed at the time. Both sections had their own engines, bringing the total power output to 250 horsepower. This was a good idea that did not work out. They didn't think to cover the front of the attaching section so that if it happened to rain, the interior would be protected. The power was severely lacking and no one wanted it. There wasn't enough cargo space if you happened to go on a road trip, and people nicknamed the rear section the mother-in-law. Plus, it looks boring. However, it was a good effort and an idea that unfortunately failed. It's the buggy is back. We have all heard of the buggy, a stripped down Beetle to its chassis and customized so that it can go off-road. People take these customizations to the extreme, and the people who love them like Jeeps. It was a cool fun car that you could spend a nice hot day in at the beach. VW tried to remake that with the future in mind. They decided to create another niche model by fusing a couple of different ones together, such as the coupe and off-road cars. What they came up with was a pretty cool car. It was the new generation buggy that mirrored the ones of old with a fresh update. It had an increased ride height, bigger wheels, off-road suspension, and a great design that sort of looks like a P. The buggy also had wing doors and a drop top, so you can enjoy the peaceful rays of the sun as you cruise across the beach. The car also came with a powerful V6 engine that made 241 horsepower. It had a Tiptronic gearbox and went from 0 to 100 in 6.9 seconds. Nothing fancy nor bleak. I would never buy one, but a person who is interested in this sort of model would. But it ended up staying in the concept stage and production was not even thought of. Still, it's a cool car and it would be nice to imagine yourself driving across the beach in one. Don't judge a book by its cover. Opel, a brand that faded away into history, made relatively good cars, if breaking down happened to be exciting to you. But nevertheless, their cars were fun, compact, and practical, a design language they based the Opel GT on. They wanted a comeback, so they created the GT concept to prove they could do it. And it looks spectacular. They really deserve a gold star for the design. I mean, two different color wheels, red and black, seems like something straight out of Need for Speed. And it works. The GT is sexy. It can have the tendency to be aggressive, but looks timid, and doesn't resemble an Opel at all. For the single guy on his way to work who loves speed and look good, this car is perfect, and I would buy one if only the specs match the looks. The engine is a 1-liter 3-cylinder engine, but it's turbocharged, but only increases the horsepower from 104 to 144. At least it's rear-wheel drive. Why install a turbo to give you only 44 more horsepower? That doesn't make sense. Imagine if this car had a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4 out of the Opel Corsa. It would be a rocket and something people will actually want. But alas, the car remained a concept, never to see the light of day. The vision is boring. Amongst solving a problem, concept cars are made to show people what the future could look like. The technologies and design that would be used to shape the car industry. The Mercedes-Benz Vision Tokyo concept does just that. Mercedes-Benz claims that this car was specifically made for people in Generation Z. It's meant to symbolize Mercedes-Benz shift to consolidate and produce cars for the youth. But am I the only one who thinks this car looks like a taxi? I mean, of course, if I called an Uber or taxi and they pulled up in one of these, I wouldn't complain. But I would never personally own one. Mercedes focused on comfortability, and the interior emphasizes that. It's meant to look like a living room, or a car you can actually live in. It features a spacious interior and an oval-shaped couch. The Vision is completely autonomous, so you can sit in completely comfortable while you go to your destination. Sounds bleak. It looks like a fish, even with the blue neon lights to add some mystery. It's too clean and too ordinary. This is because Mercedes-Benz's new design ethic, which they say is the future. They want to make cars based on nature and things we see around us to better fit into the environment instead of standing out, which I love to do. But if that's what Generation Z wants, I guess that's what they will get. Something too beautiful to make. Now this car is the furthest one from bleak, but of course it would be, as it was designed by the same guy who created the Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic, considered by many to be the best looking car ever created. This one for sure is a step down, but still manages to look sexy. It has a touch of modern design, considering it was created in 1955. But the downside of concept cars is that some are created as an experiment, and therefore the internals of the car are not so well thought of. Therefore the car was not practical for everyday use. The designers hoped that they could fit the Dodge Viper 8-liter engine inside, but they couldn't. So to compromise, the engine was two 2-liter inline 4 engines that were glued together to make a total output of 360 horsepower. This might seem like a lot, but it definitely was not all that much. The car was so well designed, and you could be forgiven for thinking that once you stepped in it, it would be fast and comfortable. But that 360 horsepower did nothing to propel the car and its steel body forward. And those huge wheels were not taken into account when designing the suspension. But at least it drove and didn't crumble when you pressed the accelerator, which is something. I mean, it is a concept car. Still, it's beautiful to look at. This is not Gotham City. And within Gotham City, this car would fit right in, as the Joker would be driving it around pissing off Batman. But in the real world, it looks out of place, which is okay since it's a concept. Like some of the previous concept cars, this one was created to show people the next step of Acura, which brought us one of the greatest JDM cars, the NSX. But this was created to compete with Bentley and Maybach. I can sort of see why Acura thought this would work. It has suicide doors, definitely a futuristic design for car doors. The Acura symbol on the front and rear are made from diamond. This car wouldn't last in Gotham for sure, and in our world too. The body starts with a sharp front to pierce through Batman's tires. Jokes aside, it's a strange concept. I think the only person that would buy this car would be a gangster or mobster. The wheels are 22-inch and the elongated front end looks as though Acura is going to fit a powerful engine inside. But for now, nothing is given, and the car once again remains strange and a concept. Honda goes electric. Honda tries to step into the electric car market with the Honda Sport EV. Just like Mercedes with the EQ and Audi with its e-tron, this car is one of 2 electric cars Honda hopes to produce, and it makes the feature look a little less boring. The EV looks similar to the Opel, yet unlike the Opel, this one was actually made with the intention to be produced by 2022. However, there's nothing yet. The body was designed to pay homage to the Honda S660. It had the same design language with a futuristic look. For instance, the Honda badges glow with LEDs, which is also mounted on the lights, giving it a cute look. The black mixing with the white gives the car a sleek silhouette. The Honda is made to be compact while still aerodynamic. The drivetrain is one battery cell powering one motor for a total output of 152 horsepower, which isn't bad because electric cars have mad acceleration. It goes from 0 to 100 in 8 seconds. However, if this seems a bit slow, and it is, Honda says that the sports version of the car will have much more power. Renault's future. This EV was built to showcase the future of Renault cars, and they did a pretty good job. It was designed to be a sports car that will show the world the design language for Renault, which is simple, sensual, and warm lines. And they didn't disappoint, as it was voted the most beautiful concept car at the Geneva Motor Show in 2016. And looking at it in a picture is still breathtaking. But this car is not meant to go in production, as it's just an advert. The power comes from two batteries placed in the front and rear to provide good weight distribution. For cooling the batteries, the car has two sets of honeycomb vents that open and close when necessary to give the illusion that the car is breathing. It has a max power output of 350 horsepower and goes from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, which is quick. The one downside is that it doesn't have doors, so you get in and out by opening the roof and climbing out, which would be weird to watch. The interior is standard futuristic stuff. A touchscreen heads-up display that shows the gauges and battery percentage, an F1-like steering wheel, and most importantly, a slot that once you put your phone in, it automatically connects, giving you all your personalized settings and other cool stuff. Dodge's dream. The Hemi V8 is an icon, even if you are not American. It's an engine that produces nothing but pure horses. But soon, that icon was forgotten and exchanged for fuel-efficient cars, which draw inspiration from Japan, which gave us JDM cars. So not all doom and gloom. However, the Hemi V8 made a comeback, and it started with the Dodge Super 8 Hemi. You can probably recognize the design. This car set the tone for all Dodge cars of the future, such as the Challenger and Charger. The design of the car tried to bring back the sharp and big looks of the muscle car era with a little touch of modern design cues. The Super V8 also featured suicide doors and weirder designs like the small windshield and side streaks along the body. These specific and outlandish designs distracted people from seeing the design language that Dodge will institute till today, as you can see. Now for the Hemi V8, which stayed true to its structure, aluminium overhead valve design and an iron block to handle all them ponies. It was capable of 353 horsepower and 365 foot-pounds of torque, which is beefy. The car was never meant to go into production, but managed to show itself in the silhouettes of the Dodges we see on the road today. Vision is not so boring. I saved the best for last. In complete contrast to Mercedes' Vision, Mazda's one is something special. One thing Mazda is not known for is speed, and the car aims to change that by designing a car built for speed and incorporated the design elements of a race car. It looks similar to the Aston Martin Valkyrie. This car was also voted as the most beautiful concept car and was even added to the game Gran Turismo Sport. The car was built for the FIA GT3 race series and incorporates all the needs for the rules and regulations. The body has aggressive aerodynamics and a standard racing interior. It weighs 1,250 kgs. Mazda wanted to build the ultimate race car, spell it forwards or backwards, and they might be successful because this car is powered by Mazda's iconic rotary engine, specifically 4 rotary engines that produce 570 horsepower and incorporates Mazda's new Skyactiv technology. All that power goes straight to the rear wheels. Hopefully, one day, Mazda can bring back the rotary engine and we can once again listen to their sweet, horrifying sounds.